not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie is this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids. What they have told us about Lance Twiggs. Obviously, we're going to go over this indictment. This kind of came up in the umpteenth hour. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on it. There's more going on here. Very clearly, there's more going on here. So you can join us.
Thousands of people there, chaos everywhere, and the official story.
The one person everyone expected to be shattered, Charlie Kirk's wife, is now being whispered about as more than just a grieving partner. Some believe she might actually be a player in the very storm that took him down. People are buzzing that she's not only mourning, but may have been involved. The moment that rumor hit the internet, chaos erupted. Comments, threads, and conspiracy theories everywhere. Then Candace Owens got wind of it. She didn't just throw shade, she went nuclear. She blasted the whispers wide open, adding her own scorching twist that left everyone gasping. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about what happened to Charlie Kirk anymore. It became about whether Betrayal had been sitting right next to him at every event, smiling in his face the whole time. But before we dive into Candace's firestorm, we need to rewind to the night Charlie Kirk vanished from the spotlight. Because the details of that night done to just raise eyebrows, they scream danger. This wasn't some random collapse. Every clue points back to the people he trusted most. Picture it. Kirk collapses in front of thousands at a packed university event. The crowd explodes into chaos as security scrambles and people run for cover. The official story pins it all on 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who allegedly carried out the plan from a hidden spot high above the stage. But here's where everything flips upside down. The police report shows this wasn't some reckless shot in the dark. It was calculated. Tyler knew Kirk's exact speaking schedule, the layout of the event tent, even the exit Charlie planned to use. That kind of precision doesn't come from luck, it comes from someone on the inside. If this trail really snakes inward, then we're not talking about a breakdown anymore. This was a takedown mapped out with chilling precision, yet the public was told to just swallow the official story and move on. What makes it even wilder is how Tyler moved. No sloppy mistakes, no panic. He acted with icy calm. People who watched the clips didn't just call it disturbing because of what happened. They called it disturbing because of how calm and locked in he looked. No flinch, no nerves, no hesitation. Just smooth, almost rehearsed moves like he'd done it before. That's not the energy of a random impulsive stranger. That's the vibe of someone who studied the entire playbook front to back. This wasn't casual. It was an operation planned step by someone with training, focus, and a clear motive. And here's where the story gets even darker. Insiders claim the authorities might not have even caught Tyler if his own father hadn't stepped forward first. That's not coincidence. That's chess-level plotting. Weeks, maybe months of groundwork with inside players making sure every piece stayed buried. When investigators started digging, all eyes turned to the one person with non-stop access, his wife, Erica. And let's be honest, whenever something this extreme happens to a married man, the spouse ends up under the hottest spotlight. Nobody's officially saying she pulled the strings herself, but the rumors online? Savage. People were whispering that maybe Erica knew far more than she let on. Overnight, her image flipped, no longer just a shattered widow, but a possible silent partner in the chaos. That's when Candace Owens stormed into the spotlight. And trust me, when she saw that narrative picking up steam, she didn't bite her tongue for a second. She said out loud what half the internet was already yelling. According to her, this wasn't about Charlie's polished, media-made persona. It was about the real Charlie Kirk, the man behind the stage lights.
Already very difficult for me to do this for a lot of reasons, but I knew it was important because I didn't want the last thing that people had in their minds about Charlie to be the moment he lost his life. That was what was especially hard because he's just had so many amazing moments throughout his career. And as I was saying, I was having this discussion with George this morning, obviously through a lot of tears, about not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie is this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids, decided not to go to college, started Turning Point USA. And I think a lot of people thought that Charlie must take himself a bit too seriously. And I want you guys to know that that could not be further from the truth. Charlie and me were always laughing. Yes, He was ambitious. Everybody knows Charlie is ambitious. I met him back in 2017 when Turning Point was this very young organization. Okay, so we're receiving so much information. We have the exclusive for you on the mysterious trans boyfriend's family, what they have told us about Lance Twiggs. Obviously, we're going to go over this indictment. This kind of came up in the umpteenth hour. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on it. There's more going on here. Very clearly, there's more going on here. So you can join us.
She claimed the so-called cartoon version made him look like a sharp young guy conquering college campuses, yet too afraid to actually press the keys himself. But before we even dive into Candace's firestorm, you need to see why Erica was already raising eyebrows. People started digging through old clips, family interviews, and social posts, and suddenly, things didn't look so innocent anymore. Right before Charlie's disappearance, Erica went completely dark online. For someone who used to share every detail of family dinners and date nights, that silence was screaming. And here adds the part that really made people stop and gasp. When Charlie S. disappearance was confirmed, Erica somehow had a full-blown speech locked and loaded. She jumped on a live stream and delivered lines that left viewers uneasy. Not because of what she said, but because of what she didn't. Yes, she praised Charlie's love for the country, President Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance. She even mentioned the kids, but the glaring omission? She barely spoke about Charlie as a husband. Their life together, the love they built. That missing emotion had people scratching their heads. Of course, grief hits everyone differently. But to many watching, her words didn't sound like raw heartbreak. They sounded rehearsed, like she was reading a carefully prepared script. And people could already smell something foul in the air. The whispers only grew louder by the hour. Then Erica poured gasoline on the flames with a follow-up post. "You have no idea what fire you've awakened in this woman." That one line flipped the internet upside down. It ripped across social media like a battle cry. Bold, sharp, impossible to scroll past. Suddenly, dots were being connected everywhere. What once looked like a tragic collapse now felt like the opening scene of a brand new saga. Sympathy vanished overnight, replaced by suspicion so heavy it drowned everything else. The rumor mill didn't just heat up, it went nuclear. Then came the neighbors, and their stories only made things darker. They claimed the couple's private life was far from picture perfect. Screaming arguments echoing through the walls, always about money. Some even whispered about a $1 million feud that had been brewing for years. Now, with Erica's cryptic words hanging in the air, people began connecting those pieces like detectives chasing a case. The big question started flooding every feed. Was this whole thing about finances? Was Erica covering tracks that were already leaking out? And just as the tension hit a breaking point, Candace Owens pounced. Already busy torching fake conservatives and shady backroom deals, she saw this scandal as the ultimate smoking gun. To her, betrayal hadn't crept in from the outside, it came from inside Charlie's own home, and she wasn't about to let anyone walk away untouched. When Candace finally spoke, her words cut raw, like she was grieving and exposing secrets at the same time. From that moment, the floodgates burst wide open. Candace didn't wait for investigators, official reports, or prosecutors. No, she grabbed her phone, hit record, and unleashed a firestorm. She went on the offensive, reposting, liking, and amplifying every single comment that hinted at something sinister inside the Kirk household. One viral post she boosted read, "If this man's wife lured him into it, then every conservative staying silent should be ashamed. He wasn't betrayed by politics." That response hit like an earthquake. These weren't whispers anymore. Candace handed the internet a megaphone, and then came the line that detonated like a stick of dynamite. He was betrayed by his pillow. Within minutes, those 5 words were everywhere. Screenshots flying, TikTok edits looping nonstop, hashtags racing to the top of Twitter's trending list. Suddenly, the focus wasn't just on the mystery of Charlie Kirk, it was on whether Candace Owens had just confirmed the whispers everyone else was too scared to say out loud. And it didn't stop there. Even if some wanted to shrug off that boosted post, the likes, the retweets, the cryptic replies, it was already too massive to brush aside. What made it sting even harder was that Candace wasn't just stirring chaos for fun. She wanted Charlie remembered for who he really was. Not as some staged caricature frozen in headlines, but as the man she actually knew. Through tears in a private chat with George, she admitted she couldn't let that cartoon version survive. That caricature made him look like the sharp, cocky debater who skipped college to launch Turning Point USA. Someone too serious, too stiff, too distant. But Candace swore that wasn't the real Charlie at all. She said he laughed constantly, chased ambition with fire, and still found joy in the smallest moments. Yes, he was serious about his mission, but he was also playful, human, and far more grounded than the stage ever showed. The grief pouring out of Candace's tributes hit people like a tidal wave. Then came the bombshell that shook timelines everywhere. Candace dropped a full photo montage spanning years of memories with Charlie. Two friends laughing, clowning, standing shoulder to shoulder, lifting each other through every storm. The montage blew up instantly, not just because Candace has millions of followers, but because it was the first post from someone close to Charlie that actually felt real. No politics, no spin, no drama, just Charlie as a man, not a brand. Even his harshest critics couldn't help but admit the montage cut deep. Fans said it broke them. It made them cry. It reminded them of the human side of someone the media had turned into a headline machine. Then came the most cutting take online. This was the tribute Charlie's wife should have posted, not those stiff, robotic essays she put out earlier. But Candace wasn't done yet. She went live on Instagram, pouring her heart out for over half an hour. And this wasn't the fiery, sharp-tongued figure people were used to seeing on stage. This was a broken friend speaking from the soul. She painted a picture of Charlie behind the cameras. Hilarious, loyal, larger than life. Someone who knew how to light up a room. Her voice cracked, her eyes welled up, and the audience could feel her breaking down in real time. It took everything in her to finish that tribute. But when it ended, it wasn't just about mourning Charlie anymore. People began rallying around Candace because her grief wasn't polished or staged. It was raw, unfiltered, and real in a way no one else's had been. And here's what made it even more powerful. This wasn't just sadness, it was rebellion. A refusal to accept half-truths, staged statements, and quiet cover-ups. From the second police opened their investigation, Candace was locked in. She wasn't the type to sit back and wait. She was ready to dig until every buried truth came crawling out. So, when the authorities finally dropped the official indictment against Tyler Robinson, guess who was right there tearing it apart line by line? Candace. She didn't just skim it. She combed through every word like the truth itself was on trial. And let's be clear, the indictment wasn't light. 7 brutal charges, the kind that could put someone away for life if proven true. The paperwork came stacked with accusations, and prosecutors wasted no time signaling they were chasing the harshest punishment possible. To the public, it looked like justice was finally rolling forward. Fans desperate for closure cheered, convinced the system was standing tall for Charlie, but not Candace. She wasn't sipping that Kool-Aid for even a second. She flat out told her followers she wasn't buying the polished narrative being fed to the masses. To her, the puzzle still had too many missing pieces. Then she jumped on Instagram stories and blasted in all caps. The indictment against the person connected to Charlie has just been released. It wasn't just the message, it was how she said it. The phrasing sent chills, because it sounded like she was hinting at something much bigger. That this case wasn't nearly as airtight as authorities wanted people to believe. It left viewers wondering if the so-called justice we were watching was just another staged performance. That one post cracked open a brand new wave of speculation, fueling fresh questions about what really unfolded in the shadows before Charlie vanished from the spotlight. And if anyone thought Candace's rage was just for the cameras, think again. Her voice cracked mid-sentence, and she slammed her desk so hard viewers swore they felt the vibration through their screens. This wasn't polished. This wasn't staged. This was grief exploding into fury, raw and unfiltered. And she didn't just take aim at Charlie's wife, she swung at everyone she believed had a hand in the chaos. Candace claimed she knew about Charlie's private struggles, things others ignored or were too afraid to say out loud. She said he was crushed daily under the weight of his political battles. The pressure, she explained, shoved him into dark corners that nobody wanted to admit existed. And then she dropped a name that sent shockwaves everywhere: billionaire Bill Ammon. According to Candace, Ammon wasn't just some distant critic. She alleged he was actively working against Charlie, trying to box him in. She claimed he dangled bribes, pushing Charlie to soften his hardline stance on Israel. And when Charlie refused to bend, that's when, in Candace's words, the threats started flying. She painted a chilling picture of a man under so much pressure, he nearly considered shifting his stance just to stay safe. But in Candace's telling, Charlie never even got the chance to make that call. And the fallout didn't stop with her accusations. It ripped straight through Charlie's carefully crafted, perfect family image. For years, he sold his home life as untouchable, traditional, rock solid. But now, that polished portrait has shattered for the entire world to see. Reports claim Charlie's own parents don't believe a single word coming from his wife. They allegedly think she's hiding something, and they've cut her off completely. No calls, no visits, no support, nothing. That's ice cold, especially from the very people who should have been standing beside her in the storm. Meanwhile, a few in-laws are still rushing to Erica's defense, saying she's just being used as the media's punching bag. But that split alone proves it. The Kirk family isn't standing united anymore. It's cracking under suspicion, mistrust, and whispers that refuse to fade. And right at the center of all that chaos, keeping the spotlight blazing, is Candace Owens. Every time Erica so much as breathes a statement, Candace fires back twice as hard, with posts, comments, or full-on livestream takedowns ripping holes straight through her version of events. She gives Erica zero room to breathe, while the internet eats it up like primetime drama. But here's the wild twist. The whole time, another name keeps slipping through the cracks: Tyler Robinson. He's just 22, right at the center of the storm, and you'd think the media would drag him non-stop. But nope. The coverage, muted, careful, almost protective, and people are noticing. Instead of wall-to-wall outrage, the headlines feel watered down, hesitant, like someone's pulling strings in the background. And that double standard lit a fire under Candace like never before. She went live again, but this time, it wasn't just venting, it was a rallying cry. She told her followers point blank, "Stop swallowing weak coverage. Demand the truth, no matter who it exposes, no matter where it leads." And with every live stream, Candace's influence only grew stronger. Her grief wasn't just grief anymore, it was turning into a full-blown movement. Each rant piled on more pressure until the whole situation felt ready to explode. She even tracked down Tyler Robinson's ex, digging for scraps of truth about what was really happening behind the curtain. That tirade got clipped within minutes and blasted across every platform. Pretty soon, one question echoed louder than all the rest. Why is coverage on Tyler Robinson so soft? And why does all the fire seem aimed squarely at Charlie's wife instead? The whole thing looked warped, and the public wasn't swallowing it. Then came the shocker. People who normally couldn't stand Candace Owens suddenly started saying, "Wait, maybe she's right this time." That was huge. Candace has always thrived in controversy, but her critics almost never flip in her favor. And here's the kicker. She hasn't deleted a single post, not one screenshot, not one word. She's standing tall, refusing to backtrack. In her eyes, this isn't gossip, it's not messy speculation, it's cold, hard truth staring everyone in the face. And that's where the story sits now. The entire internet is on edge, waiting to see if Candace S. Fury cracks open the biggest betrayal conservative politics has ever seen, or if this storm swallows the last fragile pieces of Charlie Kirk's legacy. Either way, this is nowhere near over. In fact, it feels like the first thunderclap before the real chaos begins. The questions are louder than ever, the rumors keep multiplying, and the tension, it's boiling by the second. So now it's your turn. What do you believe? Is Candace exposing a truth the system wants buried, or has she taken this crusade way too far? Don't just watch, get involved. Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video so you don't miss the next shocking twist in this saga. Because trust me, the drama is only heating up from here. Until next time, stay tuned, stay curious, and I'll see you on the next one.